Hello and welcome to Chess with Simon. I'm Simon. I'm about to challenge Gildersleeves to a game of chess as part of a rated I'm going to be white as part of a club match. Cumnor 1 versus Witney 2. Witney are a really good club. Here's the match, and all of the Cumnor teams are playing tonight. Tom Shepherd's playing. Wow! Tom Shepherd started his chess. Amaze balls. Oh, I'm about to start my chess. Pawn to e4. That's a move, isn't it? What we're going to do is... the Caro calm defence. Hi. How are you? I hope you enjoy the game. What do we play against the Caro? I'm tempted to say we play the two knights, but I might want to play the fantasy variation. Is the fantasy variation a good idea? Probably not. Or I could play the advanced variation with knight c3. Or I could play... I think I'm going to play the two knights, because it's the one I know best. So I'll play this way, which gives me the option of transposing. If he plays d5, I can play pawn d4 and transpose back into the regular Caro. But more likely after pawn d5, I will play knight f3. I mean, he's having a think. I think d5's the move here. Yeah, d5. Let's play knight f3. I think that's the move of champions, isn't it? Well, actually, the truth is, pawn d4 is a move of champions because it's a better move. It's objectively a better move. But knight f3 is not a bad move by any stretch of the imagination. So, what black needs to avoid here is d takes e, knight takes e4, bishop f5, knight g3, bishop g6, h4, h6, knight e5, bishop h7, queen h5, pawn g6, bishop c4, g takes queen on h5, bishop f7 checkmate. That's what black needs to avoid. Instead of g takes h5, black could have played e6, and then white plays queen e2, and then black needs to avoid, knight b d7, knight takes f7, king takes f7, queen takes e6 check, king. Where does the king go then? Well, we might find out. I think he'll play knight f6 here. The move not to play is bishop f5 because of knight g3. Okay, so he hasn't played bishop g6. Which is good, because the answer to bishop g6 is h4. This... I mean, there's a great temptation, isn't there, to play pawn h3. While I'm thinking about that great temptation, let's just have a flick around. Let's just have a nose and a flick. Nigelico. What are you up to, Nigel? So this looks to me like a London system. It's not a London system, it's an exchange Slav where black's playing aggressively. Black, that queen b6 move, I'm sure it's correct, but it's aggressive. What's happened with old Tom? So Tom, symmetrical English. Okay. Okay. So it's basically a symmetrical English. White's played e4. Got that clamp on the d5 square. Who else have we got? Stuart on board 1. Making some space for the bishop. So what's this? This is a sort of Queen's Gambit, but it's played in early e3. So, truthfully, it's a little bit less ambitious, but it's completely correct. And Stuart's just fianchettoed. I would also say pawn a3 is a little cautious, but I mean, what else is white to do here? It's fine. It's fine, basically. So, we're seeing a bunch of pretty correct moves. What was I doing? Here. Okay. I want to play pawn at a3. And the reason I want to play pawn a3 is because I think it gives me the 2 bishops. Question is whether I play bishop e2 first. Are there any sort of tricks here? Ah, there is a trick. Bishop c4. Bishop c4, knight f6, bishop f7 check. Should we play for tricks? Bishop c4, knight f6, bishop f7 check, king takes f7, knight e5 check, wins the bishop. The problem is, so what will happen is, bishop c4, e6 is correct. Then I just castle. No embarrassment, is it? I castle. What's the alternative? a3. Then I think he has to concede the 2 bishops. And isn't that just an advantage? So I've got a debate between playing for tricks and playing correctly. And in that situation, you've always got to play correctly. It's kind of painful though, because I'm really tempted by the tricks. But I just think a3 is correct. And consequently, I'm going to do it. Do the right thing. Bing! So, what's going to happen here? Black takes on f3. I take back with the queen. Nothing bad happens. So, some questions. I assume my bishop is travelling to c4. I assume his knight is going to f6. I guess my pawn might go to d3, my d pawn. I wouldn't rule out castling long. I wouldn't rule out castling long. Yeah, his knight's gone straight to f6. I mean, it's a good square. Bishop c4. I mean, where would you go if you didn't go bishop c4? Bishop c4 castles, right? And then we think about... Oh, well... Maybe we want to castle long, don't we? We're not sure. The alternative, I suppose, is pawn d3. Pawn d3, e6, bishop g5, bishop e7. And white's queen's a bit awkward on f3, I think. White's queen's a bit awkward. So I'm going to play bishop c4. Is there anything awful that can happen after bishop c4? Not that I know of. Not that I know of. I mean, lots of awful things can happen, but I mean, in the chess game. Bishop c4, queen d4, d3, so what? I mean, after bishop c4, he's going to play something like e6. I mean, he's going to play e6, is what he's going to do. And... what would happen if I played, right now, played queen b3? A bit early for that kind of shenanigan, isn't it? The point is, if he doesn't play e6, queen b3 is a good move. So let's play bishop c4. I don't think there's anything wrong with this, is there? Doesn't look like it, does it? I mean, it's undefended, but it's not easy to attack. Okay, well, he's having a think. Let's have a look over here. Tom's played very sensibly d6. What's happening with Nigel? Nigel's developed his knight. So Nigel's allowing white to take on b2. Queen b2, knight a4. Queen A3. Hair-raising stuff, guys. Queen B2. Knight A4. Queen A3. E3. Bishop D7. Nigel, I'm worried. Maybe you've seen it all. I hope you've seen it all. Okay, this... Now I'm tempted to play Queen B3. No, don't make me do this. Queen B3, E6. Queen B7, Rook B8. Queen A8, White's winning. Queen B3, B6, Queen F7 checkmate. Queen B3. The problem is he has to play E6. Then I can take on B7. I hate moves like this because now I feel I have to do this. You know. I mean, I have to do it because it's rude not to. In other words, Queen B3. The threat of bishop takes F7 is very strong. So what Black has to play E6. White takes that pawn on B7. Now, can the queen get trapped? It's really hard to see how the queen's going to get trapped because, like, knight C5, queen takes C6 check, fine. Rook, you know, Rook B8, and actually White has a choice of pawns to take. I don't believe there's a problem with this. This is a bit like a famous Morphy game, isn't it? In the Philidor, which went, I believe, I seem to remember, E4, E5, Knight F3, D6, D4, Bishop G4, takes on E4, takes on E4. No, that can't be right. Takes on E4, Bishop takes Knight, because otherwise the E5 pawn's dropping. Bishop takes Knight, Queen takes Bishop, then takes on E4, and then Morphy plays Bishop C4 and later Queen B3, I think. And the Queen on B3 hits B7 and F7, and I think that's what we're looking at here. Queen B3 hits B7 and F7. Okay, best guess. Queen B3, E6. Queen B7. Queen B6 swaps queens. No, Queen B6 drops the rook. Queen C8 swaps queens with a better endgame for White. Are there any risks? There's no risks involved in this move. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? I don't think much can happen here. This, I think we're a little bit off book here. I think Bishop G4 was off book after my so it went Knight G3. After my Knight G3, I think Bishop G4 was slightly off book, but I think Bishop G6 is also bad. I think you've got to play, I seem to remember you can play Knight H6 in that position. Okay, I need a rest from that game because, you know, it's been a hard slog. Let's have a look at this one. Tom's got himself some double pawns, which is no problem at all. White's attacking them. But that pawn's well defended. I mean, White can play, Black can play E5, but may not want to play E5. Nigel. Oh, he's taken it! Golly gosh, guys. So what's happened? Queen takes B2, Rook C1 from Nigel. Not what I expected. That's a thrilling game. That's a thrilling game. I think... so this is probably theory. I don't know if Black can get away with this. You know, if the knight comes to B5... So I guess White wants to play E3, Knight B5, and then Knight C7 check. E3, E6... Knight B5. It's quite hard to stop the check. I'm going to sneeze. Quite hard to stop the check on c7. Here. Pardon me. Okay. This is all very sensible and solid, isn't it? It's very pretty. Should we try and look at the other matches? Should we try and look at... So, this is Cumnor 1. What are Cumnor 2 doing, do you think? Let's have a look at Cumnor 2. Cumnor 2. The Oxford Uni 3. Mark Sayers, Ian Bush, Gareth Stevens and Liam Glenn. That's why he's not commentating tonight. I shouldn't be commentating tonight. This is wrong. What I'm doing is wrong. Pawn e4, c6, d4, d5, takes, c4. Way! Pano Botvinnik attack. Wow, these guys are playing so quickly. Knight c3, e6, g6, knight c6, knight c6. Okay, fine. What's happening with my game? He's having a think. My friend. Is it? I think it's Steve Gilders, is that right? I should know this. I think it's Steve Gilders. Let's have a look. So how do I... Okay. Let's have a look. Cumnor 1 v Witney 2. Ian Gilders. Sorry, Ian. I'm so sorry. Ian Gilders. There's so much going on. Ian Gilders. Okay, Ian. What's up with this? So, something has to be done. Get my mouse off the resign button. What is that about? Something has to be done about f7 here. And I think the only thing that can be done about f7 is e6. I suppose, actually, black could play, and probably will play, knight e5. It's a very interesting move, that. Knight e5. Huh! Well. At which point, I might just castle and let him swap the, might I? Oh, it's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Oh, knight e5. Queen takes b7. Knight takes c4. Queen takes c6 check. Wins the knight back. So, oh, but the problem, of course there's a problem. Knight e5, queen b7, rook b8. Now there's no queen c6, so you can't, you can play queen a6 and stay in touch with the bishop. So you can, after knight e5, there's still a chance to win a pawn by taking on b7. Maybe I'll do that. Knight e5, queen b7, knight takes c4, queen c6 check, and takes on c4. Or, who's played it? Take on b7. What's he going to do about it? Take on b7, rook b8, queen a6, and I'm a pawn up. Is this all a bit... What's the word? Is this all a bit... flamboyant? Because, I'll tell you why. Queen b7, rook b8, queen a6, rook b6. I mean, okay, queen a4, but I don't like it. I think it's a bit childish of me. So I think what I'm going to do is play bishop e2, and then next move I'm going to play d4. No, I'm not, because his queen will take it. Next move, I'm going to castle and admit that I've got this sequence wrong. So the alternative to admitting wrongness is queen b7, rook b8, queen a6, rook b6, queen a4. It's alright, isn't it? What's wrong? I mean, would you rather be worse or better? I'd rather be better, right? So make the right move. Queen b7. What can black possibly do? Taking on c4 is no good. Swapping the queens is no good. The critical line is rook b8. But then queen a6. And no problems. Rook b6, queen c4. Everything's fine and dandy. Okay, so let's make the right move, right? The right thing to do is to make the right move. It's only a game. It's only a game. Rook b8. I always like to carry out a temporary piece sacrifice in the opening. He can't move his queen out because his rook's attacked, which is quite a relief. I just hope that when the smoke clears I'm a pawn up, really. That's the idea, isn't it? Of course, if e6 was on the board, this whole sequence would fail, because then you get rook b8, queen a6, rook b6, queen a4, then you've got rook b4 defended by the bishop, but e6 is not on the board, and that makes a big difference. So, if he plays e6, bishop e2 perhaps. Or d4 might work. After e6, d4 might work, because there's no queen takes, because then I take his rook. And if bishop takes, then I take on c. If the knight takes the bishop, then I take on c6. So maybe after e6, I'd like to play d4, and then I think after d4, black's going to be forced to take on c4. But this is really, to be honest with you, it's quite reckless stuff. You know, it's not the way I like to play chess, really. But also, if you think the move is correct, you've got to play the correct move, right? You've got to play the correct move. What's happening to Nigelico? Oh, this is fire on the board, guys. This is fire on the board. Has he played e4? Golly gosh. I'm so glad I'm not playing this game. Knight. So I fancy white here. I fancy white. I just don't believe that black can get away with this. My turn. What's he done? Rook b8, which I believe was what I thought would happen. So now, queen a6 is the only move that white can play. Taking on c6 loses the game. Taking on b8 loses the game. Taking on a7. I mean, taking on a7 is a bad move. It basically gives up a piece for 2 pawns, and so it's not going to happen. But queen a6 is a good move. So let's play the good move. Queen a6. So now, if the knight takes on c4, we take on c6. I think e6 is quite a good move here for black. But then I think I might be inclined... Well, then I have a choice between... Oh, you know what I want to play there? I think, actually, is bishop b3. Because the bishop's nice and secure. It's blocking the file. And then I'm just going to start looking forward to the endgame. It's a long way away, but it's a lot to look forward to in the endgame. Because I'm a pawn up with a better pawn structure. Should we have a look at Ian Bush's game? What I'm going to do actually is open a window. Ooh, okay, soprano. What I'm going to do is open a window. With Cumnor 2. So now, certainly the Black Queen can come out. Black Queen, Black Queen. Black Queen to D4. Bishop E2. And we batten down the hatches and we don't get our queen trapped. So, and we're threatening the pawn on A7. So Queen D4, Bishop E2, or Bishop B3. I think Bishop B3 might actually be preferable instinctively. Actually, you know what? After Queen D4, you could take on A7. Whoa, so hard. Queen D4. Oh, you couldn't. You lose the queen. Queen's defending it. Okay. So after Queen D4, oh, but maybe you can take on F7. King takes, and then knight. No, you can't. There's no fork. Oh, I'm getting confused. Queen D4, Bishop B3. And then what's coming is castles C3 and D4. And then the bishop develops, right? It's a funny old game, chess, isn't it? It's quite a hard game. So I think black's missing his light squared bishop here. I think that's the I think a light squared bishop that could kind of irritate my queen would be really valuable to black here. But you know, his development is a shade better than mine now. So I've snatched a pawn, but his development is a shade better, and I'm hoping that he can't exploit that to win. So you know, rook b6, rook b6, rook b6, queen a4. Yeah, it's all right, right? There are no checks. You've got to check the checks. I'm not enormously worried. I mean, you're always worried playing chess, but I'm not that worried. Let's have a look at the other guys. Second mic'd up tournament. So, Cumnor 2. We're going to look at Cumnor 3 too. Let's look at Mr. MC Sayers. Well, well, well. Fire on the board, as they say in the trade. So, equal pieces. The knight and f4 is attacked. Okay, I gotta say I like black here. I really like black here. I think, because once that knight moves, how on earth has this happened? Scandinavian, long castle. You know, this is an unapologetic two-sided attack. Look at the charge. Okay, so I think black's taking on, well, when the knight moves, I think black's taking on g4, and I think that's going to be really nice. I'm glad that Steve's having a long think here, because if he just racked out a move, you'd think he'd seen something. But the fact that he's giving it some serious thought leads me to believe that I'm not going to be on the wrong end of a fiasco. Should we, who else is playing for Cumnor 2? Should we have a look at Gareth Stevens? Gareth S. Wow, these guys, they've played a lot of chess here, move 15. What was it? Sicilian defence? Okay, so it's one of these sort of... Oh, it's an open Sicilian in the end. Oof! Gareth taking on d4 twice. What's that about? Okay. Okay, so it's, I would say, quite an equal Sicilian defence. And then Liam. Against Professor Bake. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So it's a Caro can't advanced. So white's won a pawn. White's won a piece. Okay, so white's favourite for that one. Okay. My turn, it says. Rook b6. I think that's a good move. And now I'm going to move my queen to a4, and I do not expect to be hassled on a4. Okay, I do not expect to be hassled on a4. Now, so there are no other tricks, are there? So queen takes a7, knight takes c4, nothing. My queen's attacked, so my queen has to move. And the only square it could possibly move to is c4. And then that might be black's chance to play e6, but it's going to be one tempo too late, because I'm either going to play b3 or I'm going to play bishop e2. Well, there's no alternative to queen a4. So if queen a4 doesn't work, it's a disaster anyway. Queen a4, queen d4, bishop b3 defends the queen. Rook takes b3, pawn takes b3, we're fine. Queen a4, queen d4, bishop takes f7, wins the queen. Yes, please play that. Queen a4. You know, actually, one thing I could do after e6 is I could play d3. So queen a4, e6, d3, rook b4, queen takes a7. What could be simpler? Okay, so queen a4, let's not, get paranoid over this stuff. Funny old opening, this. White's grovelling a bit, but, we're always prepared to grovel for a pawn, aren't we? So queen d4 looks interesting, but actually it will bring a swift conclusion to the match after bishop f7 check. Oh, he's taken it. Does he know something I don't know? Well, okay, it's like this. I'm going to take. I've taken. Okay, so now my perception is this is settling down, which is a relief to me, because I was nervous about all of those tactics. And e6, alright, we can have a bit of a rest now, guys. e6. Okay, idea 1, castle. Idea 2, d4. Idea 1, castle. Idea 2, d4. The nice thing about castling is everything's absolutely fine. And there's no rush to play d4, actually, because there's no bishop c5, which would have prevented d4, because you just take it off with the queen. And the queen isn't vulnerable. The queen's got loads of squares. This is now quite a nice position, because my assessment, equal development, white's managed to win a pawn, and white has a better pawn structure, so this should be won. It's a long time to go, but that's alright, I've got a lot of time. So, when I castle, fine, I'm going to castle and he's going to develop his bishop probably to e7, and we're just going to play a very conventional game of chess. Aren't we? Let's play a very conventional game of chess, Ian. Let's have a look at Nigel. Oh! Honestly, I absolutely quake in terror at this game of chess. What do you think? Bishop d7. Bishop d7. Knight takes. Knight takes. Okay, so there was no d5 last move because I guess black plays rook d8 or something. Bishop d7. Yeah, I can't work it out. It's too complicated. Who knows? Bishop d7. I'd take on d7, then probably castle. But it's a lovely, interesting game, but it's too complicated for me at the moment. Ian Bush. Oh, has Ian played this guy before? How fascinating. Has he? Okay. Ian's played d5, which I think will make him happy. What do we think? We think it's dead equal. That's what we think. Ian's having a think. Good idea. Should we have a look at Cumnor 3? Cumnor 3. Okay. Oh, my opponent's made a move. Let's have a look. Okay, he's developed the queen. Now, that's not a bad move. If his bishop gets to c5, then queen takes g3 will be a big embarrassment. My view is that he wants to play bishop d6. After bishop d6, I'll have knight e4. So this is interesting. So I think he wants to play bishop d6. After bishop d6, I'll have knight e4. Knight e4, I think he's going to take on e4. I'm going to take on e4. He'll have a check on h2, which will be harmless. So I think I can play... So I've got a choice between pawn d4 and pawn d3. The nice thing about pawn d3 is that I can develop my bishop with tempo on e3. But the bad thing about that is that my opponent can capture on b2. It depends what else is going on the board though, if that's valid, if that's correct. So what that really tells me perhaps is I should play... Perhaps I can play pawn b3 and fianchetto my bishop on the long diagonal. That would be pretty, wouldn't it? Then I wouldn't need to move my d-pawn. So what could happen, I like this actually, pawn b3, bishop d6 I think is a certainty, knight e4, queen, knight takes e4, queen takes e4, bishop e5, rook b1, and then with bishop b2 to follow. So my argument behind pawn b3 is that it closes the file for the rook, that it develops the bishop, allows the bishop to develop, and puts the bishop on a nice diagonal. And the queen has not got any problems, she's not going to get trapped. I mean, black's got rook b4, I don't care. Okay, pawn b3 I think. Pawn b3. It's pretty. And it's different. Black's got no tricks. Black's got no tricks. pawn b3. Okay, I mean the bishop's not going to develop to a3 because it'll get taken, but I think the bishop sits really nicely on b2. So I'm expecting now bishop d6, knight e4, knight takes e4, queen takes e4. Bishop e4, rook b1 or c3, but actually c3 I like more. c3 is a good move there because then you've got d4 to follow up, and you might even play bishop a3 at some point and stop black castling. Although that's a little bit, we're now slightly fantasizing, but what's wrong with fantasy, right? We all need our fantasies. Okay. What's Liam up to? Oh, this. Now, okay, white's a piece up here, isn't it? Isn't he? So it's black's move. So complicated. But I think since white's a piece up, and the black king is in the centre. I mean, for instance, rook c1's quite amusing here. Rook c1, because then the bishop's pinned against the rook on c8. I'm not sure you get away with it, but you might get away with it. The bishop can never move because you take it with check on c8. Okay. This? Oof! So this is an attempt to get the queens off in the Mark Sayers game. And I think Liam S., that's a sensible idea. I get that. Gareth Stevens. I quite like white here. I think white's squaring for a kingside attack, although black's bishops are glorious. Should we look at my game? I'm going to come back and look at my game. Right, Ian. What do you make? What do you think of the show so far? So rook b4 is not a problem. Queen e2. Rook b4, queen e2, and then what's coming on the way is bishop a3, which doesn't win material, but it just swaps, and it probably stops black castling, and it just generally causes irritation. You just got to check that queen takes g3 doesn't cause a problem, but there's nothing pinning the f pawn, so it's fine. Bishop d6, my friend. Bishop d6, knight e4, rook b4, knight takes d6 check, queen takes d6, bishop a3, rook takes on c4, bishop takes on d6, white wins. Bishop d6, knight e4. He could play bishop e7. And the answer to bishop e7 is bishop b2, and we're all fine. Everybody's fine. So what's also very plausible, the quiet line, bishop e7, bishop b2, short castle. Yeah. Okay. So bishop b2, and also bishop b2, this is a little bit disrespectful. Bishop b2, castle, bishop c3, and I'm going to threaten to play a cheapo, bishop a5. Is that rude? It probably is rude. Well, we'll see. Let's see what black does. But the black bishop isn't threatening anything immediately, so bishop b2 has got to be the move, because there's no threat to the queen. Black's got no tactics. The bishop's on a lovely diagonal. So what I'm dreaming of now is bishop b2, queen d4, knight e4, knight takes e4, queen takes g7 checkmate. I mean, black's castled at this point. So bishop b2, castle, you can't really get away with it. Maybe knight e4. Maybe you play knight e4. Maybe bishop b2 castle, you play knight e4. threatening to take twice on f6, and so he takes on e4. I take back, and I'm better. Okay, you persuaded me. Bishop b2. We don't play cheapos. We try to play good moves. He's castled. So now, my temptation, my great temptation, is to play... So there's two moves here. Bishop c3 is a cheapo. Bishop c3, you know, h6, bishop a5, wins the game. But, you know, you could say, in fact, I'm going to say that c3 is a slightly better square for the bishop, and as such, the bishop should reside on c3. Now, it's defended on c3, and it's got more options because it's got like a5 as an option, and it's also preventing rook b4. The only problem is it's within range of the knight moving to d5, but I don't think I care about that. So I think I'm going to play bishop c3 rather than knight e4 on the basis that I'm not looking for the cheapo, bishop a5. I am just improving the position of the bishop. So what's going to happen? The rook's going to run to b7. What about bishop d4? Bishop d4, rook b7, queen c3. Leaving the knight pinned, right? Pinned against the g pawn. It's quite uncomfortable. Then just put the rook on the e file and play. Oh, maybe that's a better move. Bishop c3, rook b7, queen d4, threatening knight e4, but then rook e8 just cancels out. I suppose rook e8, queen e5, offering the swap of queens. Bishop d6 declines the swap. Queen g5 is really good. Queen g5, bishop takes g3. Bishop takes f6. Bishop h2 check. Queen h1. g6, bishop takes on d8, wins. So what's that making the case for? It's making the case for queen d4, which looks like a terrible move. It's making the case for queen d4, rook d8, queen e5, bishop d6, queen g5, bishop takes g3, bishop takes f6, bishop h2 check, king h1. But then the bishop, there's a threat of checkmate and the rook on d8's hanging. It's such a caveman move, isn't it, to play queen d4. It's such a caveman move. The problem with it is that after rook d8, queen e5, bishop d6, queen g5 looks a bit risky. Like, what about h6? h6. And then you're grovelling back to e3. Bishop takes g3, queen takes g3, queen takes, and my pawn structure's been degraded. That's the problem with it. So the problem with it is queen d4, rook d8, queen e5, bishop d6, queen g5, h6. h6 is the problem, and the queen's not got a good square. I mean, no, it's not good. Okay. So rather than that, we're going to play bishop c3. What were the ideas? Bishop c3 is 1. Knight e4 is such a safe move. Knight e4. Oh. Just keep the initiative, guys. Knight e4. Takes on e4, takes on e4. And if he doesn't take on e4, then I take on f6, possibly twice. Although you've got to be a bit careful. Knight e4. Oh, there's no rook b4 because knight f6 check. He's got to take with the bishop and the rook drops. If he takes with a pawn, then I'm fine with that. He's really got a bad pawn structure. So after knight e4, rook b4 is not a problem. But after c3, you would rule out any nonsense. What are the problems? I don't think. You know what? I think this is an improving move, and also there's no downside to it. There's no downside to it, and it involves a trick. It rules out rook b4. It involves a cute trick. It's improving the position. What's not to like? It's sneaky, is what it is. And chess sometimes can be a sneaky game. Ian, I expect your rook to move backwards. That's what I expect. Rook backwards. If you play it to b5, I'll play a4. Let's look at Nigel's game. I need to calm down. Oh, it goes on. It goes on. I think this might be one for white. Queen b4 doesn't work because it's free. Oh, okay. Number 1, that pawn is pinned against the rook. Castle, my friend. You just castle now. Oh, hang on. So, just take on c6. Knight takes. Bishop takes. I'd castle because I don't think. Okay, let's do it properly. Knight takes. Bishop takes. Bishop takes. Pawn takes. Queen takes. Check. End of game. Okay, so knight takes just wins. This is completely gone. Knight takes on c6. It was a privilege to tune in at this time, Nigel. Schlack attack. Who says the exchange Slav is boring? Nobody. I don't think it's boring. I think it's. But I understand why people do. Okay. If this is white's move, I mean, why is white not just... Oh, I'll tell you why the problem is. Knight takes c6. Queen takes on b5. Yeah, so bishop's got to take. Woof! Unravelled it in time. Okay. Pawn takes. Knight takes. And then... But did he have to take? Oh, because the queen could have taken. So the a6 pawn was pinned, but the queen could have taken on b5. That's why castling is wrong. So on Nigel's move 13, he couldn't have castled because b5 was hanging. Should we have a look at my own game? I'm waiting for my opponent. Okay. Ian's going to move his rook. Right. Okay. So, I want to play a4 now. And hassle his rook. But is his rook claiming it's going to come across to the king's side? That's a good move. I think that's a good move. I don't quite know why, but I think the point is that after a4, I mean, I'm not worried about rook c5 particularly. Maybe come to d5. It's a very novel square for the rook, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I think he's heading for d5. So So I think what we're saying is that was not a good move from me, although I don't think it was a catastrophe. Okay, so let's reprise all the oldies. Queen d4, rook d5. Black's doing well. Knight e4. Some rook onto the e-file. Some rook onto the e-file. Quite nice, isn't it? To put rook on the e-file. Don't know which. Probably quite sensible though. I mean, I think I'm claiming that the king's side is where the action's going to be. So I'm going to put my a rook onto the e-file. It does mean my queen runs slightly short of squares, but not fatally so. No, it doesn't. It's always got e2. Okay, so the point we need to recognise here is that black has no threats that I worry about. You know, everything's defended. So rook a, e1 now. Knight d5. Bishop retreats shamefully to b2. Rook c5. Queen. Queen g4. Threatening checkmate. Okay, I think it's rook a1, guys. And I might on some distant planet harbour dreams of pushing my f-pawn, but the knight will have to move before that happens. Well, no, it won't. It won't have to move before it happens, but it's going to be left undefended if I push the f-pawn. But actually, if you play f4, the queen can't take. But then if you play f5, the queen can take. But maybe the queen's gone by then. Okay. Oh! Ooh! Okay. I'm a bit uncertain about this move. I'm a bit uncomfortable about it. I should have concentrated more. The problem is there's so many other interesting games going on. Well, I think white's still winning. So let's not worry. Oh, the other nice thing about rook ae1 is you can take on f6 and black's bishop doesn't hit the rook. And also, you've got to be careful with that rook on f1. If black has a light square bishop, it can sometimes win the exchange because that rook gets trapped, but not this time. So we're going to play rook ae1. And we're not going to worry about it. I think he might play... Okay, let's just have a quick think. I think he might play bishop c5. Then don't I just play d4 before you even say Jack Robinson? Yes, I do. Okay, fine. Yay, we're playing chess. Come on, let's have a look at this. Oh dear. Okay. So, same material. Game over, isn't it? The discover check's very powerful. Black's got no important checks. The king can't really get out of the way. I just think this has gone too far. I mean, it's funny because after the queen took on b2, I did worry, but it's been a right old tightrope, that game. I mean, the white's king's still in the middle, but he's played it. He's played it beautifully, by the look of it. What's happening here? Oh, I think exchanges. Exchanges. Pin. Gareth. Tactics, tactics, tactics. So what's happening now? Bishop on e3 is threatened and pinned. Bishop takes b7, but the bishop on e3 remains pinned when the queen takes back. Okay, my time's getting a bit low. I don't want to bungle my game. Should we have a quick? Let's have a quick mosey at Cumnor 3. Come on. Quick mosey at Cumnorius 3. Cumnorius 3 versus Cowleyus 3. So, Robin Carr versus David Robson. Gary. It's great that he's in the team against Musa Bashir. Steve Bennett against Jasmine Burgess. And Keith Foreman against Asif. So these guys have got their work cut out. So let's have a look. This. White's got more space. But, you know, it's a lot to play. This. Oh, draw agreed. Oh, what's going on? Can't tell. Draw. Well played, Gary. Is that a draw, is it? Well played. Good game, good game. Come on, let's look from the start then. Nice aggressive approach. Pawn f4. Bit of dancing. Exchanges off down that open file. Really nice rook. Rook's come off. Queen's more active. Okay, White had the better of a draw. White. Oh, why did you agree a draw? I think I prefer. Okay, I can see White's a draw now. I thought White had the better minor piece, but I can see White's a draw. Look, and he's tried. He's tried. Yeah. Okay. What else we got? Steve. Well played, Gary. Woof! Fire on the board. Check. This looks okay for black. Oh, I think so. So, let's assume the queen takes. I guess black's taking with the bishop. Then you get pawn f6, which looks like it's checkmate. And takes with a knight. So is this horrible? So, So, if black takes on g7, White's going to play pawn f6, threatening checkmate with the queen. Can't be stopped, as far as I can see. So, what could black play? Black could play bishop e7, and then you've got bishop f6 check, king is in the corner, queen g7. I think this might be a mating combination. Oh, I'll tell you what. You've got to try f6, I think. f6, bishop takes f6 check, king f7. Maybe. f6. Maybe f6, Steve. You can't hear me, but it looks like f6 might be a chance there. I don't look at that for too long. Keith. Let's have a look at Keith. Keith seems to have won in a king's gambit. Okay, I'll come back to this. Okay. Want to see Keith's game now? Alright. So how am I feeling about this? I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling hurt because I bungled it. So, well, I wouldn't say I bungled it. Queen e2. Knight d5. Queen e2, knight d5. Queen e5. Queen takes e5. Bishop takes e5. It's alright. Rook takes c2. It's not alright. Queen e2. Knight d5. Maybe I've got to play Queen d3, but I really don't want to play that because of Rook d8. But then maybe I can just get away with it, like Queen d3, Rook d8, Queen e3, Knight d5, Queen e3, Rook d8, Queen f3, Knight d5, Knight e4. We're okay. Okay. How about Queen a4? Oh, it might be better. Queen a4 might be better. What's wrong with Queen a4? It's not defending the c pawn, right? So, okay, here's the thing. I think Queen a4 is a good move because it's attacking those two pawns. And after, if black attempts Knight d5, I think we're playing Knight e4, and we're absolutely golden. Alright, so Queen a4, and then Bishop d6, we've got Knight e4, which is totally fine. I mean, we could play some nonsense like Queen d4, but then he's got Rook d8. I'm not in the mood for that. Okay. Queen a4, my friend. I'm going to have to start concentrating on my game soon. Stone Groove. Okay, let's have a look at what's Tom up to? Tom's got a better endgame. Tom's doing better, I think. I think Star Builder's got the better of this one. This one's a draw, so we'll close the draw and say congratulations, Gary. Well played. Good to have you on the team. Steve Bennett. Steve Bennett's having a think. F6, Steve. Let's have a look at this. Did something amazing happen? Come on, I'll put it on the browser. I'll stop pushing the browser. Let's see if we can spot the tactic. Okay. Ah, this is good. Yeah, well played. Well played, my friend. That's enough. So it's +9, right? +9, Mason 2. Okay, where's the Mason 2? Queen at the back. He's found it. Delightful. Best game of the night, that. If you ever say so myself. And I think Surrey Jumbo, Keith, he used all his time, which is very clever. What's happening with Nigel? Wow, I was so wrong here, wasn't I? I thought White was walking this, but it looks like White's just... Okay, I misanalyzed this. It currently looks even. Okay. Fascinating one to look at down the line. Okay, I'm going to concentrate on my game for a bit, I think. I'd like to know what happens in Steve's game, though. That looks like he's in a tight spot, unfortunately. okay. This... Okay, so my worry is the weakness of the knight on g3. It's a bit vulnerable. So bishop d6 would be the obvious way to exploit that. Bishop d6, bishop b4, rook moves and swap the bishops off, or bishop d6, knight e4, virtually forcing an exchange of knights, I think. Because even after... Well, I just think it's virtually forcing an exchange of knights, because... I think black would take on e4 after that. I think so. The refutation of bishop d6 is knight e4, and actually knight e4 is looking like a handy move. Whatever. I mean, actually, you know what's on the board right now is bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, knight e4. So I want to see Nigel's game. Bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, knight e4. I've got no video window on OBS. It's more than I could cope with tonight, frankly. Sitting here in my cardigan. But also, I don't want to put pressure on the computer. I'm sure we can all live without my face for a long time. Bishop b4 is another nice move for white. White's got a lot of nice moves here. By some miracle, white appears to have set himself up with a lot of nice moves. How's Stuart doing? Cumnor 1 v Witney 2. Stuart, I must have Stuart somewhere. Okay, let's just have Stuart again. Wow. That's intense. So what's this saying? What this is saying is... I think what this is saying is that black's working for a draw. Black's got a positional advantage, but black's a pawn down. So I think black tonight would probably be happy to go home with a draw. That would be my... Don't tell me my match is significant. Oh, that's going to stress me out. Who's playing in my team? Putting the pawns on light squares. White getting ready for the endgame, but it's a mixed blessing with the queen still on. So mine is Tom. So I thought Nigel was winning. Looks like Stuart's got to fight for a draw. Oh, my opponent's moved. Should we not worry about should we not worry about what result I need? Should we just play the best chess we can? Okay. Bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6. Knight e4. Rook somewhere. Knight takes f6 check. Pawn takes, and we're better. Bishop takes f6. Pawn takes f6. Queen g5 check. No thank you. If I was black, no thank you. Okay, I found a good move. Now I look for a better one. Well, actually I don't because of time. I think I just snap it off. Bishop takes f6. What else can I do? Bishop b4. Rook moves somewhere. Rook d5. Bishop takes e7. Queen takes e7. Queen takes c6. Rook takes d2. Should we just play bishop takes f6 and claim we've got a better endgame? Oh, I can't. It saves thinking, doesn't it? Let's just play. So my logic here, guys and gals, is that bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6. Knight e4. Rook f5. Rook takes f6. Rook takes f6. d3. We've got a lovely endgame. Well, I'm espousing the values of endgames at the moment, so should we get on with it? I think pawn takes is horrible here. I wouldn't play pawn takes. I hope Nigel can win his game. I've really misunderstood this game. I mean, so white's got a pass pawn. Yay! Black's strictly got the better pawn structure, and white's got a passed pawn. Okay. Let's look at Tom's. I want to look at Tom's. That's not Maxime. That's Ian Bush. Oh, we got not Maxime twice. Right, you can only have you once. This is Tom. I fancy black for this one. I fancy black. I fancy that passed pawn. I mean, put it this way. The knight's not taking. On e5. It's going back to defend the passed pawn. It's that old question, is that pawn a strength or a weakness? But I think white's bishop's a bit bad. I slightly fancy black here. Okay, my friend, you take on f6 with a bishop. I play knight e4. You move your rook. I take on f6 with check. You probably take with your rook. Otherwise, I've got a queen check on g5, and we play a grinding endgame in which I try to get all the major pieces off. This? Okay, I did not expect this. This is a shock. Oh, but it's probably quite a nice shock. Okay, so let's breathe and think rational. Okay. Bishop e4. So if I move my bishop now to e5, hitting his queen, he takes it with his rook. Bishop e5. By the way, this move doesn't worry me, and it doesn't worry me because I think what black might have done here is avoid the exchange of minor pieces, but I don't think there's any advantage here. So the first move you look at is queen g5, bishop takes, knight h5. It's pretty sweaty that, isn't it, for black? Threatening queen takes f6, threatening knight takes f6, winning the bishop, threatening queen takes g7, checkmate. So queen g4, bishop takes f6, knight h5, rook g5, queen takes f6, check, pawn takes, and we're fine. Then we just play something. So I think so how about this? Take on e7. He takes my queen. I take his rook. Oh, this might work. Takes on e7. This might work. Ha! I take on e7. He takes my queen. I take his rook. I now have two minor pieces and a rook, and he's got a lot of things hanging. Wow, it's a queen sacrifice party, people. I take on e7. He takes my queen. I mean, if he takes back with a queen and e7, I take his rook. I take on e7. He takes my queen. I take on d8. So now I have two pieces and a rook for a queen, but more seriously, his queen's hanging and his rook's hanging, so probably his best is to take on d8, and then I take on a4, and I've got two rooks and a knight for a queen, which is one of my favourite material balances. I've made a video about it. I've played it quite a lot. Isn't that funny? Bishop takes e7. I mean, it's a bit of complexity, but I don't think there's much risk here because look, bishop takes e7, rook takes a4, bishop takes d8. At that point, I've got two minors and a rook for a queen, and there's no way that he can get an advantage there because his rook's hanging. And his queen's attacked by the bishop. So I think you're just taking on e7 here. I mean, this is where I've got to probably go recalculate it, go for a walk around the room. Let's have a look at Nigel's game. Nigel. I think Nigel's going to win this. I just think he's going to win the endgame. Ian Bush. Winning endgame. But hard to win. A tough technical challenge. Just attack that bishop twice, take twice on b3, put the rook behind the pawn. And then win with a zugzwang, he says confidently. Rook c3. Okay, yeah. Getting the rooks off would win it. Let's close this window. I really fancy Tom for this. I really think that black is likely to win this. But it could be a draw. That's this. Not Maxime. Look, he's really playing it positionally. He's getting all of his pieces. But, so can black take on a3 here? And then I think black's better if black does. Black takes on a3. Someone tell me why not? Okay, should we go back to my game now? This is a nice conclusion to the game. Bishop takes e7. Bishop takes e7. What's he got? Can't take with the queen, I just take the rook. Bishop takes e7. Rook takes a4. Bishop takes d8. That's 2 rooks and 2 minors, plays a rook and a queen, and the queen's attacked, and the rook's attacked by a pawn. Listen, if you don't play interesting moves, you don't live an interesting life. And I want to live an interesting life. I am allegedly, theoretically, sacking my queen. Come on, take my queen. You've got to take my queen. I feel pretty stressed about this, but I don't really. I think also the match might depend on it, and in some ways it's certainly plausible looking at the games that the match could depend on it. I think moves like rook a5, they're always a bit stressy because there's always the risk that white can come up with something. I think queen g5 was a decent move too, queen g4 was a decent move, but I think this is a really nice move. I think we're going to have a long and grinding endgame here. I think how it's going to go is this. It's very hard to avoid the belief it's going to go rook takes a4, bishop takes d8, queen takes d8, pawn takes a4, queen takes d2, rook e2, and then rook, doubling the rooks, checkmate at the back. Thank you very much. Sharp, sharp, sharp. Queen takes an e7 is no good. I mean, the point is, there's nothing except rook takes a4. There's no checks. And it's not resignable. I don't think black should resign this. Also, black might notice that white's low on time. But not that low. Not horribly low. Because I think once those rooks get doubled, and then the knight starts hopping around and causing mischief, it's going to be a world of fun. A world. Okay, while Ian is thinking about taking my queen, Robin versus Starbuilder. Starbuilder has acquired an exchange for a pawn. Bit better. Oh, well played, freak show host. Nice checkmate. Bad luck, Steve. Mark Sayers is black and is looking like he's going to win. I fancy, I think that, well, black's king is bizarrely safe. And black's got a material advantage. So I think Mark's in good place there. Gareth. Gareth. Gareth's a pawn down. Good luck, Gareth. Liam Glenn has won his game. Well done, Liam. Looked like a good game. Pretty sharp stuff. Well played. Tom Shepherd's got a bit more time. Tom Shepherd's got his pieces on nice stable squares. Tom Shepherd's going to start centralising his king soon. There's no immediate king d3 because of bishop a6 check. But you've got to worry a bit about, at some point, king d3, I guess. My move! Is he taking the queen? Oh, he's gone here. He's gone here. Okay, so I can't help thinking now that I'm 2 minor pieces up. That's quite handy. So my instinct would be to play... So let's have a look at some moves. Bishop d8. Rubbish. Queen h4. Defending my bishop. Bit more like it, perhaps. Queen h4. Queen b4. Not so good. Queen h4. Queen can't be hit. Can she on h4? 2 minors, right? 2 minors is a lot. Queen h4 actually threatening. No, it's not threatening anything. It's not threatening much. It's just threatening to... All I want to do is rescue my bishop by moving it to b4. That's all I want to do. And Queen h4, pawn g5, bishop takes g5, rook takes. So then it's only 1 minor, but his king's not so good. Okay. Queen h4, pawn g5, queen b4, rook a b5, I can't get 2 minors, but 1's enough, isn't it? Queen h4, pawn g5. It's a pity. I suppose I could play... You know what I'm going to play? I'm going to play queen b4 with the expectation of a move like rook db5, and then I'm going to play queen g4, then he's going to play queen h4, then he's going to play g5. I'm going to play like this. I think this is accurate, but defend it. I'm going to concentrate now until the end of my game. I'm not going to flick around anybody else's game. So what do I expect? Pawn c5 is a good move. Then pawn c5, queen h4, pawn g5, queen h6, queen takes e7, queen knight e4, threatening f6, threatening knight f6, which is very, very, very good. Okay, yeah, that's what I expected. Let's go here and defend. Okay, g5. Queen h6. Queen takes e7. Knight e4. Knight e4 threatening a fork on f6 and a fork on c3. But if g5 isn't played, 2 minus is enough. I mean, one mana should be enough. I'm dying to flick to Stuart's game. I'm just so curious. Come on, Stu. What's up? What's up? Okay. g5. Okay, he's pushed the pawn. And now that allows me to fork the rooks. I think I'm going to want to fork those rooks. I think that's going to be really nice because fork the rooks, pawn g5, queen h6, and now a rook's dropping. Yeah, I think forking the rooks is enough. It's an interesting game. Really look forward to seeing it on the engine. I think this is the end of a long night. Okay, interesting. Never surrender. I like it. And it's not at all wrong. It's not at all wrong. I was a bit arrogant there. Okay, so I put my rook in the way. He takes, I take with the queen, his rook moves, I get my bishop out. Yeah, I think I put my rook in the way. Come on. This. He takes with the rook, I take with the knight. Don't take with the queen. He takes with the rook, I take with the knight. His rook moves. My bishop goes to g5. It's 2 pieces. I've really enjoyed this game. Rook b6, I've got bishop d8. So where's that rook going to go? In fact, the rook's got to go. Oh, rook's got to go to b7. Rook b7. Yeah. Okay, now there's this. I think this is the end. Thanks, Ian. That was a good game. I think the opening was really interesting. I would have liked to have seen Black take the queen and play the 2 rooks and a knight against the queen. I'm going to stay watching this, although I'm dying to know about the others because I don't want to just get timed out. I think that's a whole rook though. I don't see how that's not a whole rook. Okay, let's have a quick flick to Nige. Check! And white wins. Yeah, white wins. Well done, Nigel. Well played. Very, very good. I look forward to looking at that on the engine. Very complicated game. This, Tom, I'll be watching that till the end. Ian has got an endgame which probably won, maybe drawn. Probably won. Probably a 1 endgame. This is fascinating. This is, in some ways... Okay. Thank you very much, Ian. That was a really interesting game. Do you want to analyse it? Let's just have a look at the analysis, shall we? Do you know how we do? I wonder how. Do I just hit analysis? Okay. Okay, let's do this. Uh-huh. Okay. So are we there? Okay, while Ian's getting in there, let's just have a little look at this. Ooh, white offers to draw, black declines to draw. Yeah, I think that's right. Oh! Now, I might slightly prefer white with the outside pass pawn. Oh. This, yeah. Queen b2 looks like a good move. Not sure if we both... Oh. Okay. Can you see e4, c6, d4? Oh no, d4's wrong anyway. Didn't play d4, it's ridiculous. Thought that might be good, but complex. 95 was very good. What does the engine say? The engine says, yeah, 95 or e6. They're both the same, but they're both, it's a pawn in both cases. Ian, just to say I'm recording. I hope that is okay. I don't have to put it up. Thank you. Yes, I didn't see far enough that you could keep the bishop protected. It was a close thing. If you had e6 on the board. What's interesting is the database likes this for black. What's happening with Tom? Okay, let's not get distracted. I think what... I'm not sure about bishop f5 on move 4. That is why Fisher played. Okay. Let's wait for Ian to come back there. Yeah. Five knight g6 can lead to bishop g6 can lead to a fiasco. Halved out. Well played, Tom. Well, that's fine. So Tom's halved out. This Black's got to be winning, right? Black's got an easy win here, right? Who's Black? Stuart. Well played, Stuart. Okay. Instead of King D8, I mean, Bishop B4 looks great. Anyway. I mean, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Black wins, right? Well played, Stuart. I'm not gonna close that, but I'm gonna. Five Bishop G3. Five Bishop G6. H4, H6, Knight E5, H4, H6, Knight E5. G6, Bishop C4. I hate doing it in text. Huh. Looks like a lot of commentary, Simon. Well, Liam. Well played, my friend. Win a piece early. Ian Bush. Oh, Ian, you can... Okay, this... White has practical chances, but this may be a draw. White has practical chances. Of course he does. Not going to lose it, is he? Okay. This might be harder to... Oh, of course it's not hard to win. Okay, so you got to calculate all the way. D2. Bishop E7. Okay, I assume he's calculated it all the way. Well done, my friend. Okay. Let's see the end of this. So what's going to happen? It's White's move. King C7, King G4, King B6, H5, King takes pawn, H4. No, that can't work. That's gone. Wow, what a game, what a game, what a game. Well played, Stuart. Just keep the king out, yeah. Let's take a look. So Stuart's won. Well done, Stuart. Yes. I think that would have been better. I can't type. Been a long night. Yeah. Knight E5. Let's have a look on the old engine. +7, right? Bishop takes. Yeah, it likes bishop takes. Rook takes queen. Yeah, you got to take the queen. Yes, still all to play for at that point. I think that's right. So here, instead of rook there, bishop takes. Yeah, rook takes c2. The engine wants rook c1, but I'd have taken. Takes. Well, actually, it's close. The engine. It took me ages to see bishop e7. Oh, Ian, you're looking good, man. This is looking good. Move 48. Oh, now. Yeah, put the king. Put the rook behind it. White wins. White wins. Move 48. Rook A3. Yeah, very good. Because 95 wasn't. I think I did. Cowley Blitz games. I'll send you the link. Cowley Blitz. Let's look in the playlist. Here it is. Shigorin. Yeah. I think it is this. Okay. 3.5 with Tom getting the draw. Cumnor 1 are 3.5 up, are they? Well played all. Okay. Well played, not Maxime. Should we have a quick look from the beginning? Come on then. I think I'm running out of juice. This has been Chess with Simon. It's all been a whole bundle of fun. Come on, let's look at not Maxime's games. Let's look at this, and then let's see what happened. Come on, with the engine, analysis board. We can do this. Let's see what happened. What happened was equal, equal, solid, equal. Everyone's playing very sensible chess. And then white's better, white's better. White's a bit better. Black's kind of equal. White's doing this thing of putting his pawns on light squares. Black's got a pin. Bishop e7, there's a big threat, bishop g5. Queen there, bishop g5, and a daze. So what should have happened here? Something like bring the queen back to e1? Yeah. Okay. And now all of a sudden it's a piece. Okay. Well played, Stuart. Ian Bush. Well played, Ian. Well played, Ian. We'll just close down the windows. Well played, Liam. This. Black resigned. Well played, Hughesy 15. Respect. Gareth's a good player. So, you played well there. Liam. Liam S versus Mark says, I thought Mark was winning this. Oh well, it is what it is. So Mark drew. Gareth unfortunately lost. I think Cumnor 2 are going to win, aren't they? Oh, what's happened to the Robin? Oh, this is Cumnor 3. I sense that Cumnor 2 are going to win, right? Draw, win, loss. I think Cumnor 2 have won. Let's have a look at Robin's game. Come on, quick look at Robin's game. Okay, so... Wow. Okay, Robin's played a sort of... You know what you can play there actually is on... just a quick idea, Robin. I think you can play knight f6 on this move. I've seen Magnus Carlsen doing it. Yeah, knight f6. Knight f6 is a good move here, yeah. Because if he takes on c5, don't you take on e4? I think that's the idea. Anyway, let's have a look. And you play knight f6 just to move later. So White's just got a bit of space here, right? Well, +2 now. White's got more than a bit of space. Okay, White won an exchange with a pretty combination there. Wow, I can't even unravel this. Attacks the rook, swaps the rooks, check, queen in the way, and the answer is that White is an exchange up for a pawn, and White has a better endgame, and it's quite a bit better. Okay, outside pass pawn. Oh, was there a moment for Black there? No. Okay. Alright. Well played. I think I'm definitely done. Seen Gary's game, seen Steve's game, seen Keith's game. I think we've seen all the games. This is Chess with Simon, officially signing off. Chewy's not in the room. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this. If you've listened to the whole thing from start to finish, I applaud you. Please come back next week. Look after yourselves. I hope lockdown's treating you well. Well done to all the players from all the many teams. I hope you've enjoyed your chess. I hope everyone's enjoying your chess, win or lose, and keep on learning. And we'll see you soon.